Ma'am, wait a second. I guess there's some issue.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, I would like to give a little insight about our committee. The Banking and Insurance Committee believes in giving the students a deeper understanding about the functioning of the banking and insurance industry, as well as to make the students valuable assets so that they can excel in whatever field they choose to go further. Through this initiative, we aim to get some of the best minds from the industry to place their valuable insights and share their professional experiences with the students. Students will get mentored and polished, not just for their careers, but for their futures by some of the most experts and industrial experts. So without any further ado, let's introduce the person without whom we would not be able to be here today representing our committee, this college and this course. Welcoming our principal in charge, Dr. Pooja Ramchandani, an amazing lady who calls us a brand ambassadors, is truly a brand name in herself. Introducing our beloved principal, Mrs. Pooja Ramchandani. Due to some prior commitments, ma'am could not be here today.
Like the principal, there is another person who is responsible for giving direction to all of us and for being a guiding light at all times. Please help me in welcoming a Vice Principal, Dr. Naveen Punjabi. Inspiration comes in many different ways, and our Professor Rahul Mishra is one of them. The one who has all the knowledge of this growing sector in India and is always supporting and motivating us to be the best versions of ourselves. We are grateful to have him as the backbone of the Banking and Insurance Committee. Due to some personal reasons, Rahul sir is not here with us today, so I guess we will be moving forward. Now let's introduce the people who form and represent this committee. We have me, Tina Asnani and Khushi Kanodia as the presidents of the committee. Next is Drishti Shah, Himanshu Gupta, Malika Rastogi and Muskan Kaur Sagar as the vice presidents of the committee.
We have Khushi Santosh and Kirti Dodeja as the heads of the admin department. Dimple Dang, Ehsas Rathi as the head of the editorial department, Dimple Dangi and myself, Sayangita Saswani as the heads of the research department, Mehak Paraswani and Tamanna Parikh as the heads of the social media and marketing department. Now, I would like to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Yogesh Kunnani, who is presently working as a senior vice president at CDSL. He has done his graduation in engineering and post-graduation in Masters of Business Administration. He has an incredible experiences of 25 years in the capital markets and has organized more than 100 investor awareness programs across our country. So if you could take the stage and speak a few words.
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So thank you very much to all of you at HR College and Krisha Foundation for organizing this wonderful lecture. First of all, my best wishes to the Banking and Insurance Committee. Anytime you need us, we are always available. Please reach out to any one of us in CDSL. We would be more than happy to help you all through this. Further, also, I would, like to thank the principal and vice principal. I know both of them personally very well, so they are wonderful, and the students with whom also we've interacted in the past also in HR College and now also. They are absolutely wonderful, and I'm sure the session today would be beneficial to all of us, including us, because we also get to learn by interacting with you all. We also get to learn a lot about capital markets as well as banking and insurance also. So without wasting, much time, I think, we should be keeping these sessions more interactive. That way we would also be able to add a lot of value to these sessions. And so if anyone has got any queries, you can put it in the chat box also. We will have a separate question and answer session also after the presentations are over, and we can take the questions and solve all your queries, doubts in the Q&A session. We have two very wonderful speakers today, whom I personally know. One is Daksha Gogia. She's absolutely an authority on mutual funds, and mutual funds are actually an excellent vehicle for achieving your financial goals, and thereby achieving financial freedom. So see, after all, why are we all investing today? It is because to achieve our financial goals and lead a comfortable life later on. So mutual funds are the best vehicles. That is my personal opinion. I am also a very avid and long-term investor in mutual funds. I've been investing for the last 30 years in mutual funds, and for meeting almost each type of goal, whether it is education, or whether it is your marriage, or maybe a foreign trip, or for that matter any short term, medium term, or long term objective. uh, you cannot get a better vehicle of achieving these than mutual funds. And Daksha, I have seen her presentation. It is absolutely wonderful. So we should give her all the time required, so that we, end of this session, we become more knowledgeable about mutual funds. Uh, Reshma, my colleague from CDSL, she would be speaking on depository services. So demat accounts and mutual funds, both put together, can help each and every individual in the country in generating wealth for themselves, as well as for creation of wealth for the society as a whole. So Reshma would speak about demat accounts, how we can use demat accounts for investing in capital markets, the various digital initiatives that we at CDSL have taken since last 1.5 years, since the COVID hit our country. So she would be covering in detail on that. And after that, we would have question and answer session, and we will take all your doubts, queries, and answer them to the best possible manner. So once again, thank you, all of you, and my personal best wishes with Banking and Insurance Committee. I'm always available at a call. Please call me if you need anything in this regard. I'm always available. Best of luck, and my best wishes for this session also. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the kind and inspirational words. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you today. Now, I would like to welcome our guest speaker, Ms. Reshma Verma. Ms. Reshma is presently working with CDSL as an officer in Investor Awareness Department. She has completed her graduation from Thakur College of Science and Commerce and a post-graduation degree in MMS from Thakur Institute of Management Studies and Research. She is a Mumbai University topper in Financial Accounts subject.
We also have among us is Daksha Gogia. Daksha ma'am is a trainer for financial literacy and an investor educator. She is an industry expert and has conducted numerous financial literacy and investor awareness programs. She is a postgraduate in business management from UPG College, Mumbai. She graduated in management with specialization in finance from MMK College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai. She qualified her UGC Net and Commerce with 99% in the very first attempt. Prior to teaching, she had worked at Jet Airways in the finance department. So, without any further ado, we also have Professor Rahul Mishra with us. So, sir, would you like to take the stage and speak a few words?
Thank you, Tina. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you to the guest speakers and to our chief guest for today. Thank you for sparing your wonderful time and coming and interacting with students. We at the BBI committee are always looking forward to having more such wonderful sessions where the students get to learn from the industry speakers and stalwarts like you, and not taking much of your time, but I just wanted to thank all of you for spending time and coming here and making this event a successful one. Thank you so much, Tina, and take this event ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So without any further ado, I would like to give the stage to the guest speakers so that they can take the session forward and enlighten us with their knowledge.
Reshma ma'am, please unmute yourself.
I always forget that. Thank you to the college, HR college, for calling us, and also Rahul sir for such insightful, because students along with studies need to know about the markets and everything day-to-day happening and current affairs. And also thank you Yogesh sir for enlightening students, and he would be enlightening more in Q&A sessions. And now, not wasting your time, I would share my screen. I would be talking on being a depository point of view, and mutual funds part would be covered by Daksha ma'am. And okay, share the screen. So the screen is visible, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I would be talking about basics of investment and depository services. So what is a depository? Depository is a space where you keep the securities into dematerialized form. So CDSL is a depository, and NSDL is also another depository in India. Talking about CDSL, CDSL was incorporated in December 1997 with the shareholders such as Bombay Stock Exchange, leading Indian and foreign banks like HDFC Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, Canara Bank, LIC of India, etc. And I'm very proud to say that CDSL is the first and only listed depository in Asia Pacific, and also first and only depository to operate in GIFT IFSC. And also we have obtained various certificates from International Organization of Standardization into IT systems and processes, business continuity and management systems, and also e-voting process. We have also got STQC certificate from Government of India into e-voting process. And talking about CDSL current event, recently we crossed the milestone of 4 crore account, and situated across 97% pin codes across India. And we have proud 591 DP attached to us into 20,500 touch points. We have 16,000 around unique companies with CDSL, and it is a growing depository with more than 4 crore accounts. And I would be talking on this line like need for saving, inflation and investing, financial planning and investment planning, asset allocation, introduction to capital market, right issue, do's and don'ts before trades, service offered by depository, key takeaways for investor. So talking about savings, it is said that save money so the saving can save you in future. So everyone has a dream career plan for themselves. Some would want to start their own startup. Some would like to get a professional degree in future. So for that also we need money, right? So we need to do some saving kind of thing. So for that, if for example, a person, Mr. X, wants a saving in future, and the seed funding which he like promoter stake he needs for like 1 to 5 lakh or something. So he has to do his calculation accordingly. How much time is left for me, savings I need, and accordingly he should plan his career and the startup plan. And second would be long-term social security. We always save for it is a saying that we should always save for the bad weather. We never know what unfortunate conditions or uncertainty can come into our life. So for example, COVID itself, many people would have lost their jobs. So how they survive was on their savings only, right? So if we don't have saving such as social, it creates us a social security for us in future, even to meet medical expenses or any expenses which we didn't knew and had occurred. So we need social security. So saving is always needed. And saving for fun. For example, we all follow a routine. Like you students, you attend your lectures and I do my office routine work. So we always need some break or something from our routine activity during our weekend. So we plan trips or we go for parties or something. For that also we need money, right? So we should keep a fund aside for fun activities, and also marriage. As in India, we know that we are known as big Indian fed wedding. Taboo is there into Indians, so we do a lot of expenses during marriage situation, like buying jewelry, clothes, or anything. So always try to have a saving as per your like dream wedding plans and everything, so that you don't have to take loan to buy jewelry, clothes, anything. And also there is a something into fashion going, like destination wedding kind of thing. So always have saving for that as per your dream wedding plans, and so that you don't have to borrow money for your own wedding or also for your sibling weddings. Also have a financial legacy left for your future generation. For example, our forefathers have earned a lot so that we have a good life. So in future, for our dependent also, we should save money so that they can have a comfortable life. Also, there are many big purchases arising right from being a kid, from buying a watch, which was a big thing when I was a kid. So from buying a watch, then a phone, then a vehicle like two-wheeler, then a four-wheeler, then a house. So there would be many big purchases as per person depending. So for example, if I want to buy a 60,000 phone or a 1 lakh phone, but I will not buy this year because I don't want a phone on EMI. So I will try to save for 10 months, like 10,000 every month. And I will think of putting into an SIP or something like mutual funds, where I can earn a fair like 8 to 12% or something. So my 1 lakh is saved into 10 months. And also I could earn something like 8 to 12% on that. So this was extra thing which I could earn, and I didn't have to buy that phone on EMI. I bought a next model phone, same, which would have launched next year. So accordingly, whatever your wishes are there, your wants are there, prior to the execution of that plan. So have your own counting of calculation, what you need and how much time is left, what is the amount needed. So do your calculations accordingly. And retirement planning. So it is a saying goes that some people want to retire early, like 40 years, but it depends upon people. Some at 58, some at 60, and like some who have their own startup, they keep on working. So but then we need a corpus for retirement planning also, so that we don't become a burden on someone else. So as an example, our parents used to think like 10 lakh 20 lakh corpus was much than enough, but to beat the inflation, like 20-30 years down the line, when we retire, the money which the corpus we need would be much higher, because it would be adding some inflation, the money value. So have your own corpus, plan accordingly how much I need to retire. I need my retirement planning money, how much money is needed, accordingly plan it, because you have many years. So save accordingly for your retirement, so you can enjoy your retirement life. Also there would be medical expenses which you have to pay. So it is like we don't want to be burden on someone, so always plan your retirement. Going on inflation and investing, as we know, inflation, where the money loses its value and there is a lot of demand into the market for goods and services. So for example, my father used to say he used to get 1 rupee pocket money, but for me 1 rupee is very less, right? We will get a chocolate only for 1 rupee. So for me 1 rupee for him was something else, and for me it is a penny, like just I can buy a chocolate for that 1 rupee. So goods gradually become expensive. He used to say that 10 rupee, they used to get 1 liter milk, and now it is 75. Not only that, you must be using some vehicle like two-wheeler or your parents. The fuel prices have increased so much, like it was around 70 to 80 rupees. Now it is around 105 rupees. And even in gold case, which was around 30,000, now it is ranging between 47,000 to 50,000 just in a span of 1.5 years. So goods gradually become expensive because inflation increases over time, right? And decreases the value of money. As I said, that 1 rupee value before and after. So our saving must also grow with time. And this is called investing. So talking about investment planning and financial planning, what is the difference? While doing investment planning, we do expenses. Like if I earn 20,000, I do expenses first, then what is left, I keep it as a saving. Okay, this month I could save only 3,000 rupees. Like, So it is my saving. Next month, I could save only 2,000. This is my saving. And next I could save like 5,000, 6,000, but this is not the correct way, right? It is said that do financial planning such as earn income, do the save, keep your saving amount aside. Like now I don't have any much burden responsibilities over me. So I can do around 60 to 70% of saving of my salary. So if I have a salary of 20 to 30,000, I will think that I will save around 60, 70% of my saving. And then I will plan my expenses. So I keep my savings aside, like 15,000 or whatever, 10,000 I want to do the saving. I will keep it aside. And then I will plan my expenses so that the amount which was fixed for saving is there and the expenses are planned accordingly. If I think that I escalate my expenses, I will cut down my expenses in some of the other ways. And so Warren Buffett rightly said that do not save what is left after spending, instead spend what is left after saving. So also talking about asset allocation, which is very important. Being a student, I also know there are many students who are just parking their pocket money into the saving bank accounts. But Warren Buffett has lightly said, do not put all your eggs in the one basket. Majority of the students are to be seen that they park their money into saving bank account into one basket. But as you see the rates of interest rate of saving bank account, which is around 3 to 4%, which is not beating our inflation, right? So always it is advised that put your avenues, like your savings into financial avenues that beat the inflation. So try to learn about other financial avenues. There would be students who would be investing into stocks or mutual fund in your class also. You can take advice from your teachers, or like finance, obviously teacher would be advising you about that. So always try to put your savings into, like, for example, you have 10,000 of rupees into your saving bank account. So how to plan it, right? So put some part of, as per your risk appetite. You are a risk taker, risk adverse, whatever are your goals. Try to diversify your portfolio. Put into stock market, some money into mutual funds, SIP, which is monthly. You can start from 500 also, and you can put some into gold. Even you get gold paper gold, and also you can invest into bonds or debentures. Try to explore other financial market avenues available. Take help from your faculty members or anybody whom you know is expert into it. Also, you can ask help from your friends. So try to diversify your fund, whichever you get from your pocket money, or some people would be doing part-time job also. So try to not only park into saving bank account. I know saving bank account money is needed for ready cash, like any expenses you need. So you swipe your ATM card. So some money is needed for ready cash also, but try to put into different baskets so that when market falls in, like imagine a share market will fall, but the bond market is working. So you mitigate that risk. It is known as diversifying your portfolio with so that you mitigate your risk accordingly. If one market fall down, another market would be working for you. So try to learn more about financial avenues available, more options, explore it, and know about your own risk appetite. What are your future goals and how much money you want in future. So it totally depends upon you, what risk you want to take, what is the span of investment. So plan accordingly. Talking about capital market is something, a financial institution where securities are bought and sold. So it is divided into primary and secondary market. Primary market is such a place where you sell these stocks to the public for the first time. It is also called new issue market, right? It is done. These stocks are done by sold to the public via an IPO, which is currently you are hearing many news is about IPO, like LIC IPO, or like the IPO which has gone already, Zomato, or like last year IRCTC IPO. So it is initial public offering IPO where the stocks are first introduced to the public on a primary market. So it is a new issue market, and also there are two types of issue IPOs. One is known as fresh issue, when the totally new shares are sold to the public, and there is also offer to sell when a promoter has some like 10,000 of shares, and he says that okay, 5,000 I will sell to the public. So it is known as offer to sell. This is also kind of type of IPO. So talking about secondary market, since Zomato there was an IPO, now it got listed to the stock exchange, right? So now when you are buying a share of Zomato, it is reselling into the secondary market platform, not only into stocks, but also into bonds. There are people buy bond, but then sometimes they need money. So they sell out their bonds to the rightful person to get a tidy profit, because the lifespan of the bond may be high, or the person may need. So secondary market works in other like bond also, debt market, also in stock market. So secondary market, not only into stocks, but also bond, people sell the bond to another people. And next, talking about what all you need accounts to buy and sell the shares in the security market. So all three accounts are mandatory. You need all these three accounts, like saving bank account, demat account, trading account. So saving bank account is needed for transfer and receipts of fund for buying and selling of securities. And demat account, you should always open with a SEBI registered DP. It is the account which holds the securities. And trading account is should be opened with a SEBI registered broker or trading member, and it is open for buying and selling of securities. So all these three accounts you have to open to buy and sell securities. And also you must have heard about 3-in-1 account, where you can open all these three accounts under a one roof. So you don't have any problem like dealing with two accounts or something. So you can open a 3-in-1 account also. And trading and demat account opening form, what all documents you need for opening, like proof of identity, you can have a PAN card, voter ID, driving license, passport, Aadhaar card, or any identity card issued by the central and state government. And for the address proof, you need voter ID, driving license, passport, ration card, Aadhaar card, and or a bank account statement also you can provide. Also gas bill or electricity bill also you can provide. And you have to do one-time KYC, which will be valid across all the stockbrokers and DP, because KYC is mandated by the government, and you have to do it. And so talking about who can open a demat account. So individual like me and you can open a demat account, and there can be 3 maximum holders. Like if I want to open a demat account with my sister and my father, so there can be 1, 2, 3 account holders. There can be maximum 3 holders into an account. And HUF, like the businesses which are held by the family, and the Kata is the owner of the demat account. Minor can also open a demat account, and under the guardian, and both KYC is needed, minor plus guardian's KYC. And NRI, non-resident India, the person who is of Indian origin or the citizen of India but staying abroad, can also open a demat account. Corporate, private limited firm, and a public limited company also can open a demat account. Trust, which is registered and not a bogus ones. And bank and domestic institutional investors, DIRs, which are for example, mutual fund companies or insurance companies, also non-banking financial institutions and pension fund companies can also open a demat account. And also FPIs, like foreign portfolio investors, can also open a demat account. Like foreigner, like FDI is one of the route to enter into overseas economies. So FPI is also another route of getting into overseas economies by opening a demat account. So benefits of demat. So demat is totally secured, safe, and easily transferable and retrievable. And you would have never heard anything like Mr. X bought a share and it got lost into the transit. It never happened. It is totally safe. And you can also avail a loan against shares, like you get against the gold, land, property. You can also get loan against shares, which is known as pledge. And it is easy and instant transfer. Previously, there used to be paper share certificate used to get. If you would have seen some movies or from your parents, there used to be a ring where people used to buy and sell securities, and there used to be all paperwork. And now it is totally done through demat format, like electronically, which is very much easy and instantly can transfer the demat securities in T+2 format. And mutual funds also now you can buy from a demat account. Right issues. So right issues is something like company want to issue shares, but only to the existing shareholders on a fixed record date. So the decision is taken by the board of directors. For example, record date is something like, if I keep a record date like 3 August is my record date, which is kept by the company. So the person who bought the shares on 3rd August would not get the right shares entitlement, because he will get this shares on T+2 days, and the person who had bought on second also would not get the right entitlement, because he had still to get the delivery of the shares. So the one who had bought on 1st August can enjoy their rights, and also rights are delivered on T+2 day, and the shareholders can renounce their right partially or fully, and it is done into a ratio. For example, I'm want to give one share for 14. If a person has 14 shares, I will give one share to that person, so the share ratio would go like accordingly. Then talking about do's before trade, so always be try to be cautious whenever you are dealing with any financial market or something, any finance related thing, because you can get cheated. So some of the do's for before you start a trade: deal only through SEBI registered intermediaries, for like middlemen like broker, DP, anything. Always see that they are registered with SEBI. You're not dealing with a wrong person, and ensure that you have read all the mandatory documents, and also collect a xerox of that documents. For example, you are signing a document, right? And you are giving to the broker, and you're not keeping a photocopy, and tomorrow if your sign is forged or misused, so you don't have any proof. If you keep a xerox copy, you can say, see, I had only said that I agree to these terms and condition, and this is something wrong under my signature. So always keep a photocopy and read all the terms and conditions before signing a document. Get a clear idea about brokerage and other charges levied by the broker. Always be informed about the brokerage charge, so that in future they don't charge you additionally. And obtain a copy of the documents. As I said before, always have all the document copies with you. And also don'ts before you trade. So what are the no-nos for starting a trade? So don't deal with unregistered intermediary. As I said before, he should be the institution should be registered with SEBI. Don't execute any documents with any intermediary without reading and understanding the contents. For example, if you are signing a document which contains some of the words or jargons which you don't understand, right, or some short forms which are used and you don't understand, so have a clear idea from that authorized person, or do a search engine research, like search on some search engine, and get your clarity about that line, so that you know that all the terms and conditions I am signing are known and with me, and in future I don't have any confusions regarding. And don't trade on rumors, which is like stock tips, like somebody saying that this stock will go up, this will go down, so sell this stock or buy this stock. Or there would be people that this sector is going to perform very well, but the rumors, if they are right, would be profitable to you, but if they are wrong, ultimately it is gonna affect you, because if it is your money at the last. So do your own research, learn about the sector, don't believe on all these rumors. There are many rumors that spread on the about stock market. So no, don't believe on this. Don't share your internet trading password with anyone. Not only internet trading password, but also your Gmail ID or any mail or any ATM pin or anything. If you have a habit of writing on a diary, please keep into the safe world. Share your password with your parents or like whom you trust, and always try to keep your password into safe custody, so that it is not handy to anybody else. And don't make any payment in cash to the stockbroker, because if you do payment in the cash, you don't have any proof. In future, if you want to provide any proof, so please do it via digital mode, via check, or something like you do RTGS payment or NEFT, so that tomorrow you have a proof. If the broker says that you didn't pay his brokerage or something, you can show it that yes, I have paid on so and so day. You have a digital proof for that. Don't issue checks in the name of sub-broker and authorized person. Don't hesitate to approach concerned authority to resolve disputes, if any. For example, even if you are cheated in this market, please approach to the authority, because even the cheating amount was like 1,000 or 2,000. But if you don't say or complain about it, some other people would get cheated. So some other person can also get cheated. So try to, like, if you get cheated, you can approach to your DP. If not resolved, you can approach to your depository also, And not, if you're not convinced by that, you can directly approach to SEBI SCORS. There is a website www.scores.government.in. So you can launch your complaint there also, where and get your disputes resolved. Even if there are any technical glitches you're getting into while trading or something, you can approach to the authority so that they get the information about such things and they can deal accordingly to your dispute. And the services offered by depository. The depository offers dematerialization services, which is converting physical certificates into electronic form. And rematerialization is the reverse of demat, that is converting your electronic securities into physical certificates. And there is also transfer of securities service provided by depository. For example, if it is a voluntary act by a member, if I want to gift some shares to my dad, so I will voluntarily transfer my shares to my relative, my dad, as I said. And there is also facility of transmission of securities, which is done by via law. If a person is dead or is confirmed by a competent court of law that he is lunatic or insolvent, then these shares can be transferred to the concerned person, like the nominee or the person like will or something. So the share would get transferred under their name. And transposition is something like changing one position to another. For example, you buy a share under a name of A and B, but your account is into the name of B and A. But then it is not an issue. Transposition is available via depository, and you don't have to open a demat account another into the name of A and B. So talking about the various digital services which are offered by CDSL, Easy is one of the service, which is internet-based service where you get to watch your happenings into demat account via internet facility 24/7 from anywhere. And easiest is an advanced internet-based facility where you can also set up debit information transactions. And MyEasy is a mobile app which you can get on the Windows, iOS, and even Play Store, like Google Play Store and also Apple Play Store. So via this app, you can enter the debit transaction, you can handle your account, and you can also use your easy and easiest credentials to enter your MyEasy app under your for login password. And the another service which we offer are smart SMS alerts, where you get the information about debit and credit happenings into your account. You get an SMS, and any demographic change into the account or due to the corporate affairs, like corporate actions which take like right issues or something, bonus shares, or you get a debit and credit information from smart facility. E-voting, yes, if you are a shareholder, before you used to go physically to the meetings and used to cast your vote, but to create a quorum for the perfect, because holding one share also, you are the owner of the company, it is said. So you can participate into voting process of the company via e-voting process. So it is done so that the valuable votes of a shareholders is not lost. So e-cash facility is also provided by CDSL, consolidated account statement, where you can keep a track of your investments in mutual funds with a registered email ID. Sorry, I have an issue, like, wait on. Okay, so talking about grievances, as I was saying before also, always reach to your concerned authority about any grievances if you have. So CDSL also you can approach if in future you have any grievances to solve the disputes. And online system you can approach via cdsl.com footer grievances.aspx. This is the link for that. And via email also you can complain about the issues, like complaints@cdslindia.com. You can also attach various files or anything you have regarding the dispute and send us an email. So I'm having some problem with the next button. So talking about the DIA facility, if you go to our website, www.cdslindia.com, in the right hand corner, there is a Diya app, the facility available, chat box available for you, where you can ask various doubts. It will be get resolved by the chat box. And also, if you want to approach, like watch any future investor awareness program you want to keep a track, you can visit our investor corner for further information. This is the link for that. And also you can stay connected with CDSL India on various social media websites like Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And some of the key takeaways for our investors: update your contact details with your DP or a member. For example, mobile number. If you change your mobile number, please get updated with your DP and so that you don't have any issues in getting SMSs. Update your bank details in your Demat account. Register your nominee details in Demat account. It is always advisable to have a nominee. There is a, like, you can have 3 nominees, but at least if you're not keeping nominees like 3, then at least have 1 nominee, because in future anything happens, that share can be transferred to your nominee. Keep the instruction slip book in your safe custody. As I said, not only instruction slip book, but also other crucial document you should keep in a safe custody. And register and track your Demat account through CDSL app, CDSL Easy Facility and SMS Facility, as I was talking before also. Keep a track of debit and credit information via Smart Facility. And also you can have a track via internet through Easy Facility, which is available by CDSL. And verify your transactions regularly. Not regularly, then at least once a week, like weekend or something like Friday. You should always know what is happening into my account. And power of attorney, if anybody asks that you have to sign power of attorney under my name, but say it is an optional document. I will not, it is not necessary that you give a POA. And be aware while dealing based on unsolicited stock tips. As I was saying before also, if there are rumors or stock tips going across the market from your friends also, or any internet-based facility portal, but don't believe it. Do your own study, like fundamental analysis or technical analysis. Learn about that, read the news, current affairs about the company, then only try to invest into that company. Because ultimately, if the tip is wrong, then it is your money which is gonna get at loss. You are at a loss. So your money, you are the safeguard of that. So always try to have your own study. You do your own due diligence before investing into stocks, buying, selling, anything. So never believe on such stock tips. Have your own study. And I would conclude, and further Daksha ma'am would be continuing on mutual funds part. So thank you. Hello, Daksha ma'am.
Yeah, you can stop the screen share now so that I can share.
Yeah, wait. You can directly share. It will stop from my side.
Okay, no problem. All right. Thank you so much, Reshma ma'am, for enlightening all the students about the depository services that is offered by CDSL, and also giving a lot of knowledge on the entire securities market. I believe that all the participants have gained quite some knowledge, and I think they can start their investment journey. I would just be briefing you all something about mutual funds. I believe you all know what mutual funds are, but I think we can just dive a little in detail and we can discuss about it. So I'll be sharing my screen right now, and just let me know if it's clearly visible. Is it visible to all? All right, thank you so much. Okay, so there are a variety of ways through which you can invest in the securities market, and as also told by our respected chief guest, Mr. Yogesh Kundani sir, mutual funds are an excellent way of investing your money, even in terms of short-term and long-term gains, because there are ways that you can go through about it depending on your financial goals and investment objectives that you have planned for yourself. You can invest. So first, just let us understand the basics of a mutual fund and what a mutual fund exactly is. So mutual fund is nothing but a pool of money that is created by investors, and a professional fund manager who is usually managing this pool of money invested in various securities and the returns that are generated by that are distributed amongst the investors. So it's like a whole cycle, that goes by. Also, let me tell you that I'll just give you a very easy example to explain this. Right now, we're 93 people. Wow, that's amazing. So imagine that each of us have just put in 1,000 rupees. This is just an example. And now there is a pool of money that is created. This pool of money will be invested in various securities by a professional fund manager. And he's obviously going to use his or her expertise and invest our money. And all the returns that would be generated by those securities will be further distributed amongst us 93 people. So that is how the entire mutual funds works. So basically, mutual funds is an excellent financial vehicle because it gives access to specifically the mid-scale and small-scale investors to diversified portfolios that are usually operated by professional fund managers. So, if you might be thinking that, okay, I require loads of money to invest in mutual funds, then that is an absolute wrong thought of yours. You can also invest in a mutual fund through an SIP with 500 rupees per month. I mean, I just believe that we all, love going out. And when we go out, I mean, that's the minimum amount we spend. So we can use that money and invest it in an SIP, which is an excellent way of investing, especially for people who are beginning their investment journey and are a little skeptical about, to take a lot of huge risks. So I totally get that. So that's how mutual funds works. And there is a very good, cycle or a process that is given here. So as you can see, these are investors. They have pooled their money with the fund manager who has a lot of experience and knowledge and, really knows how to read the market projections and trends, according to which they choose to invest in certain securities, which in turn generates returns. So in case if it is stocks, it will maybe generate returns in the form of dividend. And if it is bonds, then it will maybe generate returns in the form of interest, which will then be distributed amongst the investors again. And that's how this cycle keeps on continuing. Now, when we're talking about mutual funds, there are also certain types of mutual funds that we must understand, because I believe that each individual over here might not be sharing the same kind of risk tolerance. I think few of us would be risk averse and few of us might be risk takers, and we'll have a healthy risk tolerance. So on the basis of the risk level, there are a variety of mutual funds which I will be discussing. So as you can see, there is a graph, and as per the risk level, you have all the types of mutual funds. So first, on the lowest risk, we have money market funds. So let me tell you that money market funds are basically very safe, risk-free, short-term instruments, like example, treasury bills or, certificate of deposit. So these are the kind of money market instruments which are very safe, and you can park your money without any worries, because even though it might not give you higher returns, but there is no worries on losing out the principal amount. I mean, that's the guarantee it does provide you. So if you are on the side where you don't really want to take a lot of risk and you want to play very safe, then you can surely go for investing in money market funds. Up above, with a little more risk than money market funds, you have gilt funds. So I'll explain what gilt funds are. Basically, gilt funds are the money is invested in interest generating securities that are issued by the central and state government only. So you are basically, as a retail investor, we do not really have access to a lot of government securities that we can invest in. So through gilt funds, you can directly invest in these kind of securities. Gilt funds are a little safe because obviously they're issued by the central and state government. And it does, I think it is thus impacted by the interest rate. So interest rate risk obviously exists in the market. So if you are really looking to invest in gilt funds, you can invest it at the time when the interest rate is falling, because I think that's the best time to, park your money in gilt funds. Up above, we have debt funds. So debt funds are nothing but fixed income funds. And example of debt funds can be your corporate bonds or your government bonds. They basically pay you a fixed interest rate, but they are slightly risky as compared to gilt and money market funds, where gilt funds is a perfect blend of, low risk and reasonable returns. Debt funds is a little riskier as compared to gilt funds, but it does provide this fixed interest income to the people who invest in debt funds. Coming to balanced funds, balanced funds is actually as the name suggests, it's like investing in a hybrid of asset classes. So it'll make a mixed kind of a thing for you. Like it'll be investing in debt, it'll be investing either in money market instruments. So it'll be investing in various alternatives. So that is how balanced funds works. And finally, at the highest risk, let me tell you, is equity funds. I do agree that equity funds carry a lot of risk, but I also am of the opinion that if you really want to try to beat inflation, then I think equity funds is the best way to go about it. And you can invest your money over there. Of course, if you have a healthy risk tolerance, also looking at the long-term gains perspective, which I think many of us look at, equity funds is the best, because when we talk about money market or gilt funds, it is usually for people with a very short or mid-term horizon. Okay, it's not for a long-term game. So for long-term gains, you can surely go in for equity funds. When we're talking about equity funds, again, there is a whole classification that comes under that on the basis of market capitalization. You have small cap, you have mid cap, and you have a large cap. So as you all know, market capitalization. So in case of like, if we talk about large cap, it is with companies with a capitalization of higher than $10 billion. And when we are talking about small cap, it is, I think, ranging between a capitalization of $300 million to $2 billion, and mid cap falls in the middle of small and large cap. So you have companies classified on the basis of their market capitalization as well. So you can obviously invest in equity funds as per the kind of risk tolerance that you carry. Only if you feel that you are willing to take risk, you can go ahead for it. So on the basis of risk, you have all these different fund types. It is totally your choice in what kind of funds you want to invest. Again, mutual funds are also classified on the kind of investment objective that you have. So as I discussed, you have debt, equity, and hybrid. Hybrid, which is usually a mixture of equity and debt, which is more or so in the ratio of 60:40. And whatever your investment objective is, like for example, if I am looking at a kind of a long-term objective, then I think the best option would be to go for equity funds. But again, at the same time, if I'm not really willing to take a lot of risk, then I will probably play safe and invest in debt funds. So it totally depends from individual to individual, what is their financial goal, what is their risk tolerance, and what is their investment objective. And according to that, you can choose any kind of mutual fund that you want to park your money in. Based on investment style, there are two, passive and active. So basically, how they're different from each other is, in case if you are investing in active funds, your professional fund manager is going to do a lot of intricate research, for which they charge you very high rates of commission. And in case of passive funds, the kind of research that is done well. I wouldn't say it is not, but it is not as intricate as active. So there's a lesser fee or a commission charged by the professional fund manager. So usually in India, people prefer investing in passive funds because they believe that there is some kind of research they also want to do on their own. But at the same time, it is also very beneficial for us to take professional guidance, because these people do have a good amount of knowledge and expertise about the market. And I wouldn't say they can give you 100% accurate, because I think nobody can give you 100% accurate prediction as to what is going to happen. Even if we talk about the current situation that we are stuck in, we never knew there is something called as a lockdown, and we never knew something like a work from home would exist, since 2019 now. So even the same way, market is also unpredictable. But the reason why we guide you to take professional help is because these guys do have an upper hand in terms of knowledge and expertise, and they can act as a base to make better and able financial decisions for us. So on the basis of style, on the basis of objective, you can invest in these kind of funds. The reason why mutual funds are important, and why do I really emphasize, and whoever I talk to, or whenever I conduct these kind of seminars, I always kind of motivate people to go ahead and invest in mutual funds, is because there are a variety of reasons. First of all, it is professionally managed and operated by fund managers. Secondly, also let me tell you that it gives you a diversified portfolio. As we had seen, Reshma ma'am said rightly that Warren Buffett quoted, do not keep all your eggs in one basket. It is extremely essential for us to understand that asset allocation is the best way to reduce your risks, especially in a market which is completely unpredictable for us. So I think if you tie your money to just buy shares of one company compared to a situation where you have, distributed your money in a way across various securities, your risk here will be lesser as compared to the case number one, where you've tied all your money in buying the shares or stocks of one company. Because if that particular company goes through a bad quarter, you will lose out all your money in case one. But in case two, it'll probably your risk will get mitigated, because at one place, if you're making some kind of losses, it can get balanced out by the profits that you're earning through the other, shares that you've invested in. So it's a wonderful option of diversifying your portfolio and reducing your risk. Let me tell you, it's not very possible to, get 100% guarantee anywhere. Even if you might have, seen advertisements about mutual funds, they always say, subject to market risk, please read the offer document carefully before you invest. I think this is one line that is stuck in my mind, and it will be always, because I've heard it so much. So it's like, you have to understand that any kind of investment that you make will be subject to any sort of risks. But again, it's a wonderful way of trying to grow your wealth, and I think you should really go ahead for it. So diversified portfolio is one, again, very amazing advantage of investing in mutual funds. And again, it minimizes your risk. It's a lot convenient. You can also start with a very small amount. So when we're talking about mutual funds, you can either invest through one-time investment or lump sum or SIP. So lump sum is when you're taking a chunk of money together and investing it at one go, whereas SIP is called a systematic investment plan, where you are investing small amounts of money either monthly, bi-monthly or quarterly, again depending on the kind of funds you have at your disposal and your investment objective. You can start with as small as an amount of rupees 500 when you are investing through an SIP. And SIP is the best way, especially for beginners. I will keep saying this 100 times, because I understand that you students are focusing on your studies right now and you don't have steady sources of income. But then this way is the best way to enter into the market. So you can start with a very small amount. Plus, there are also tax advantages. Obviously, the capital gains that you get, say in Guild funds, the capital gains that you earn are taxable, depending on whether they are short-term capital gains or long-term capital gains. But in case of open-ended funds, there is a scheme called as ELSS, which is Equity-Linked Savings Scheme, where you're exempted up to taxes of 1,50,000 rupees. So you can do some research and also find out some schemes that give you these kind of tax advantages, which mutual funds do. So over and all, I would like to say that mutual funds is an excellent investment avenue, where not just young people, but I think people of all age groups can invest, because it provides you the most important benefit of portfolio diversification, which I think we all look at, since we all want to some or the other way minimize our risks. There is one very good example that is given to explain why SIP is really nice. You can see two people here. One side we have Vinod and the other side we have Pooja. Both Vinod and Pooja start working at the age of 21. Both are hardworking individuals. Vinod chooses to wait until he sees a bullish trend in the stock market, and Pooja has started investing rupees 5,000 per month in equity mutual funds through SIP for a goal of buying a car. Okay. Now, after 5 years, let us look at Vinod and let us look at Pooja. Vinod made no investment till 3 years because he was waiting for a bullish trend in the stock market. He directly made an investment of 1,60,000 in year 4 and 1,70,000 in year 5. So total amount invested is 30,000. Total time, 3,30,000. Total time is 2 years, and returns that he's getting is 3,91,104. Whereas Pooja, who's made an excellent decision, has planned her investment systematically and worked in the total right direction. And we all must learn from Pooja. 60,000 a year, because 5,000 per month. So when you make the mathematical calculation, it is 60,000 per year. And like that, she's invested 3 lakh rupees 5 years, and the returns that she's got is 4,26,911 rupees. Now you might be wondering that, the time, the time invested by Vinod is lesser and the time invested by Pooja is more. You might even apply this kind of logic, but let me tell you that the mistake that Vinod made is that he accumulated a lot of funds at one go and invested it. Okay, so that is not right. I mean, it is not necessary, and it is not possible for all of us to maybe accumulate all this money all together and invest it at one go. Whereas Pooja and her entire investment, I will invest 5,000 every month for 5 years, and look at the returns. Obviously, her returns are going to be more. Plus, the most important thing is that she was doing it in a very disciplined manner, which is extremely required when you are investing in the securities market. Pooja had the flexibility of investing a small amount at a time, and she invested in a disciplined manner with a fixed goal. If now I'm looking at buying a luxurious car for myself, I can start with investing with a good amount of money every month. But obviously, my goal will be very different from yours. It is not necessary that we might share the same financial goals, right? But depending on the basis of your goals, you can invest. She invested 5,000, you can invest 500. I might have some other goals, so I will invest rupees 10,000 every month, right? So that is totally depending from person to person. Now, in comparison, Vinod kept worrying about when to enter the market. He was waiting for a trend to enter, and then I will, sort of invest in the market. And at one go, he shelled out a large amount of money in a short period of time, which is something we aren't supposed to do. It's a big no-no. So I would tell you guys, in the end, let's all be like Pooja and not be like Vinod, and systematically plan our investments as per our investment goals and financial objectives, and be very well-informed investors. And also, in the end, let's try making India a 100% financially literate country. Thank you so much.
If students have any questions, they can write into chat box or can unmute themselves and ask questions if they have.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a very informative session. Thank you for sparing time and enlightening us with your knowledge and giving us a much needed educational guidance. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, if students have any questions, we can take.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Shivani.
गुड इवनिंग मैम. मैम, इंफॉर्मेशन मतलब बहुत अच्छा हम लोग को नॉलेज मिला, पर मैम जो आपने रिकॉर्डिंग किया हुआ है ये हम लोग को मिलेगा क्या, रिकॉर्डिंग सेक्शन?
एक्चुअली ये जो है, I don't think इसका recording आप लोग को दिया जाएगा. I don't think so it is allowed, because it's a mandated. I mean, I don't think you will be given the recording.
But Shivani, we have shared a booklet with you, which is equally important. You can read that booklet. It is containing many information as per the PPT along with. So please read that booklet also. It is also containing very useful information regarding market and everything.
Yes,
Yeah,
you can
so-
download it from the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this booklet actually is prepared by SEBI, which is the country's regulator, along with the all the MIIs, which is market infrastructure institutions. So this is the collective wisdom of SEBI, NSE, BSE, CDSL, NSDL, all the MIIs put together. So it's a very useful booklet, especially for beginners. And please download it, go through it. I'm sure you'll get a wealth of knowledge after going.
Sir, can you give, ma'am? Can
Yes,
you
Mohammed,
give
you will
the
get
link,
e-certificate.
ma'am? When you can give the link in WhatsApp group for the booklet.
Yeah, I think Tina.
Yes, ma'am.
I have not
Yes.
received, ma'am.
You can take the link from the required authorities and you can send it on the WhatsApp group. We can circulate
We can,
it.
yeah, we
Yes,
can,
yes.
we can share it on WhatsApp.
Even
Yes,
you
sir.
will, Pratik, you will get this booklet on our website also.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't get on WhatsApp, then.
Okay, I do not know the website. That's why.
www.cdslindia.com.
We
Reshma
will
ma'am,
share.
can you put the website on the chat box so that everybody will be able to see
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Hi, ma'am. We have a few questions from the audience that I just received. Can we ask them?
Yes, please.
Yes. So there's this a member who asked, what was the COVID impact on both the mutual funds services and the depository services? Was there any huge or unique impact in any way?
Yeah. So, is the question related to the day-to-day operations, or the question is general that did COVID impact the capital markets in the sense Sensex or Nifty went down, went up? I mean, or is it more related to day-to-day operations?
So I think it's more related to the general one, like the general impact it had on the capital market.
Yeah. So, madam, you want to take Daksha, madam?
Sir, as I told you, when you speak, I mean, I think we shouldn't, because you give the best inputs, and I think you're at the best position to guide them about their questions. So if you want to add, you might add, but you can start with clearing that out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for asking.
Thank you. So the answer is yes as well as no also, both. There was a temporary impact due to COVID when the Honorable Prime Minister announced the lockdown last year. It hit all of us like a black swan event. We call this as a black swan event in capital markets. That is, it suddenly hits you without any expectation. So when the country went in lockdown, of course, the cases were very less. Today we get those many cases in one day. What cases we were getting in 1 month's time in March 2020, I'm comparing. But basically the problem was in March 2020, we were facing that unknown. So people were, extrapolating and saying that country agar pura lockdown mein jayega, to what will happen? All the companies will shut down. All products, services will not be able to be consumed by the citizens of the country. So these all, issues were there which the country faced, and obviously, markets run more on sentiments rather than actual, events taking place. So the entire global markets actually went in a tailspin, as you all must have read in the media also. Our own Sensex, which was close to about 41,000 that I remember, went down all the way up to 26 or 27,000 in a matter of maybe 2 to 3 weeks time that I can, think of. And then to that extent, it stabilized after that. And then slowly, as you all are aware, it has been slowly and steadily going up. And I believe today we have crossed 57,000 Sensex, and Nifty has crossed 17,000. So yes, so the answer is yes, there was a temporary impact of 3 weeks or 4 weeks time wherein the markets fell and markets actually bottomed out. In technical analysis, we call this as, bottoming out. And so the markets bottomed out, and, then there was support from global institutions, domestic mutual funds also. And as you all are aware, the entire, all the global central banks have been following a loose monetary policy to partly to, negate the impact of COVID all across the globe. So all central banks are following loose monetary policy, and there is ample liquidity in the market, and that liquidity has, flown into all markets. We are not talking about only Indian markets. Even the US markets or all the major emerging markets are, close to multi-year highs as we speak. And so yes, in the short term, the impact was there, but in the long term, you can see after, March 2020, we are now at the last day of August 21. So in roughly about 1.5 years, markets actually covered the loss from 41,000 to 26,000. And from 26 to 56, if we take, it is, a 30,000 jump if you take. So more than doubled. So basically Sensex must have been more than, 100% returns in this 1.5 year. So that is there. The main point is, please don't get swayed by all these Sensex and Nifty levels. That is what I keep tapping. The more important thing is, you all need to be like Pooja, the example that Daksha madam gave. Our endeavor basically is to make every one of you as Pooja and not as Vinod. So, the problem is Vinod was in the example, he was trying to guess the markets. Okay, he waited for 2 years, assuming, that the markets will fall. That therein lies the biggest problem that everyone in this globe faces, not only in India, everyone. The simple answer to this is, it is futile. It is actually futile to guess market levels, because no one in this world can actually, predict what the Sensex would be tomorrow, 1 week, 1 year down the line. The more appropriate thing, because see, we as, domestic retail investors or small investors, we cannot control the markets, right? So market is not under our control. But what is under our control? What is there under our control is how we react to that. Okay, so we need to properly react to this and, make your proper short-term, medium-term, long-term goals and accordingly invest based on those goals. That is more important. That is under your control. Sensex, Nifty levels or individual stock prices are not under our control, or for that matter, they are not under control of Warren Buffett also. Okay, so if Warren Buffett cannot predict markets and control prices, who are we to predict? So it is better you invest based on your goals. If your goal is for short term, say 6 months, 1 year, like Daksha madam, rightly advised all of us, that is the key takeaway for me from Daksha madam's presentation today. If it is for the short term, then I should not be investing in riskier mutual funds like equities. So I should be, for short term goals, I can dedicate my funds to liquid funds, overnight funds, or to some extent, some portion in debt funds also, because they are risky, they are less risky as compared to equities. Yes, but for my long-term goals, which may be, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, I can very well, invest in equity mutual funds, because in the long term, equities will always outperform all other asset classes. In the short term, equity may be volatile, but in the long term, that volatility evens out, and equity generally has got, handsome potential to outperform all other asset classes, including debt, gold, as well as real estate also. So we should be investing based on our goals rather than, see all newspapers or media channels or, see market levels, whether, today all news channels are, flashing breaking news saying Sensex Nifty has crossed 17,000. It doesn't matter really, because if your goal is after 10 years, I mean, what difference will it make whether Nifty is 15,000, 17,000 or 20,000? You are investing for your goals. If your goals have been achieved, you can very well, redeem your mutual fund and, reap the benefits of that investment. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you so much for that informative answer, sir. We actually have just a couple more questions, if
Yes.
that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir, somebody asked that mutual funds are sometimes known more for their risks rather than for their advantages. So they wanted to know, why is that? Like, what are the kind of risks involved in it, and why does it suffer from such a bad image.
Yeah, Daksha madam, you'll take risk on mutual funds, risk of investing in mutual funds.
Actually, honestly speaking, again, it all comes down to the kind of funds you're investing in. So again, it is basically depending on whether you're going for short term or long term. Now, as I said, if you're going for long term gains, then I told you that invest in equity. But then at the same time, market is very unpredictable. There are many risks that exist in the market. There's credit rate risk, there is interest rate risk, and there is so many risks that exist in the market, and they are actually uncontrollable. I mean, we can try our best to try to like mitigate our risks, and that we are doing by having a diversified portfolio. But again, there are certain factors on which there can't be any sort of control on it. So that is the reason it is called a little risky, because as I told you, any investment avenue that you enter in will not offer you 100% no risk. There will be some sort of risk that will be associated. That again comes down to the kind of risk tolerance you're willing to take. Now, as I told you, if you go for money market funds, there is no guaranteeing you very high returns, but you will not have to worry about the losing out on your principal amount. Right. But in case of equity funds that do offer you, long-term gains, and as Yogesh sir said, they tend to outperform. But again, at times there might be such kind of situations which will affect them. But what happens is, like when I gave you Pooja's example, who's investing, 5,000 rupees monthly. She doesn't care about how the market is going to perform. She is going to continue investing for the next 5 years and try to achieve her goal. So I think as an individual, we must not look at the negative side, because if we do that, then we are going to find everything risky. Might as well look at the pros and at the positive side, and I think that will help you to sort of perform really well in the market. That's the only answer I have and I can give.
Right.
Oh. All right, thank you so much, ma'am, for that answer. I'm sure it was helpful.
We have with us our principal, Ms. Pooja Ramchandani, with us. Ma'am, if you would please like to say a few words.
Thank you, dear Khushi, and I hope I'm audible.
Yes, madam.
Am I?
Namaste, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening to Nani ji, Reshma ji, and Daksha ji. And I entered 15 minutes back, and I could see so many questions being bombarded on 3 of you, and you have been answering them. I think there was a mention of one Pooja and one Vinod, an example. So here I am, Pooja, completely unknown about market, leave everything to my husband, and he invests, and God knows what he does with our money. But till the time we are safe, and we have chat in our house, so it means everything is going fine. But as you all said, there is an important aspect is don't go and jump in a sea. It is better you read, understand. Don't go because others are going there. Go because you want to go there, explore the market. And I think here comes the inauguration of our BBI committee. I should say the smallest class, but the brightest class, which is the brand ambassadors of HR College, who are studying 3 years of undergraduation of banking and insurance. And they have taken up this on their shoulder to work towards development of or upbringing of their own self for 3 years that they are in HR College. So they will be working on different aspects of banking, insurance, mutual fund, financial markets, financial services, investments, talk about anything related to finance, and BBI will be working towards it. The main agenda is to get industry experts into these areas that BBI is all about, banking and insurance is all about, and all the connections that banking and insurance industry has, to get experts and build themselves in such an employable student that once they are out of 3rd year of BBI from HR College, they are employable, they are independent, they are knowledgeable, and they can face industry with all the skills that are required related to banking and insurance industry. So even if it is financial markets. So I feel proud that this is an inauguration day of BBI committee with the composition of 3rd year, 1st year, 2nd year students of BBI, I normally don't call them as students, but I call them as brand ambassadors. And I tell them that be selfish. For the years that you are there in HR college, get everything that you want to do in HR college. Do it for yourself, do it for others, and explore the best and explore the leader in you. And I think today is the beginning. And I must thank the three speakers who have joined us today. And I think what you see around under the mentorship of Professor Rahul Mishra, this is just the beginning. And I should say the movie is yet to release. And I'm sure the kids, the brand ambassadors of BBI committee, will take the BBI course to a very new level and next level, where I know I've been underground for admissions. I am sitting at home. I don't go to college because people trouble me. And I'm sure BBI, as it is such a demanding course. With these efforts, this will go much, much, much more higher. So with these few words, hearty congratulations on the inauguration of BBI committee. And again, a warm, warm thank you to Yogesh ji, Daksha ji, and Reshma ji, who have been here and encouraging these young budding entrepreneurs, bankers, insurance people. Who knows, the Warren Buffett sitting inside us, and he comes out, and tomorrow I can proudly say that he was from HR. And thank you so much. And virtually we are meeting. Thank you so much. But a promise that please join us in HR College offline whenever you're close to Churchgate. With open hearts, we welcome you there. So just looking forward to COVID being over. Hope you all are safe. Please keep blessing my young budding bankers and insurance managers who are from BBI committee, and do connect them to different industry people so that they can learn more and more and more in these 3 years that they are with us. So over to you again, and welcoming and thank you and hearty congratulations on the inauguration of BBI committee. So hearty, hearty, hearty congratulations.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This entire setup would not be possible without your constant guidance and constant me pushing to go an extra mile and ensuring that we cover all the aspects of banking insurance. It was your idea and your baby child or brainchild, I can say, that you always thought about bringing various kind of initiatives under the banner of banking insurance, and to promote this area which is not being so much trapped or tapped as such. So thank you so much once again for supporting us, for being there and helping us out to do our best in this particular area. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such kind words. And I would also like to thank the speakers for such an informative session. Thank you for sparing time and enlightening us with your knowledge and giving a much needed educational guidance. Lastly, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the students for their active participation and for taking time out and attending the session. With this, I would like to end today's session. Thank you. Also,
Thank
the
you so much.
feedback.
Thank you.
The feedback form has been posted in the chat box. Kindly fill it up.
Thank you. Thank you, and congratulations and best wishes from CDSL to the committee. We look forward to closely working with the committee in future. Thank you.
Sir, if
Thank
you
you
can
so much,
allow us
Yogesh
to
ji.
visit your CDSL organization, we would be very, very glad.
Sure. Yes,
Virtually
yes.
or offline, the way you allow us.
Yeah. In both ways, you are most welcome, madam. Online, offline, both. Our hearts are open for you.
So BBI committee, your next job is to take us to CDSL virtually.
Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am. We'll do that, ma'am. Thank you so much, Yogesh ji, for the wonderful opportunity. We'll definitely get in touch with you and like to take this bond to a new height to make it more collaborative and learning opportunity for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pooja ma'am, thank you Rahul sir and Daksha ma'am for enlightening us, and also Yogesh sir for on behalf of CDSL answering all the queries of the students. Thank you on behalf of CDSL IPF train. Thank you very much. And in future, if you need anything offline, as sir said, online, offline mode, we are always available to you. Thank you so much. everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Pooja ma'am, and my heartfelt congratulations for the BBI committee. I hope they reach heights of success, which I know they will. And thank you so much, Rahul sir and Yogesh sir, for always giving us the required knowledge and guidance. It was a wonderful opportunity, and I hope we can have more such collaborations in the upcoming times. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daksha ji. Thank you so much. It was nice hearing it from you and learning the aspects of mutual funds, which are not known to us. Thank you so much.
Most welcome, sir.
Ma'am, with the permission, can we close the event for today, ma'am? Principal, ma'am? I think she has left already. Tina?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can now officially close the event.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for joining in. Please fill the feedback form once you're done with. Thank you so much.